Welcome to my show. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be touching base on, whatever comes to mind. So we'll see where everything goes. There's a lot of stuff going on today, and no one can really comprehend it. If it's within the 3D realm or if it's within the spirit of transformation with Mother Earth and the universe and this thing called ascension. There's a difference between New Age, there's this spirituality, New Age spirituality that's been running amok ever since 2012, where a lot of false idols, false channels within the spiritual communities to send people down the wrong path, and it's constant cycle of really not knowing anything, not getting any knowledge or any wisdom of what one needs to know about the true workings of spirit. A lot of people talk on sacred geometry. A lot of people talk on, the Merkaba and chakras and Metatron's cube and sacred, the tree of life and all of this stuff. But what people don't understand when you're born into this realm, and all of the elders were killed and all of the ancestors, and unfortunately we're walking in the sacrifice blood of our ancestors in this situation. And the spiritual teachings as a whole have been corrupted, because you go back into history and you look at religion. The people have attempted to break away from religion over these past couple generations, but it has the spirituality was hijacked. So you look at all the original tribes, Native Americans, South America, Africa, and wherever you're from. There's been so much destruction and so much war over generations, that people lost their spiritual path, and everything has been reintroduced to the people today through religion, or if it's through fake church, fake spiritual teachings that people have gathered today, where coming into the center of unity, oneness with what people think about of being ascension, or coming into the higher frequencies of heaven on earth, great spirit. A lot of people like to use Pleiadians and star beings, and they call themselves star seeds, and all this stuff. But there's a lot of confusion, because of within the frequencies of one's being, of not knowing the truth, not knowing ancient history, not knowing the inner workings of the universe on a soul consciousness level, because they have they killed all of the masters, Buddha and Jesus, and you have all these the whole thing with Ja and Bob Marley, and there's all kinds of spiritual masters that walked and spoke righteously. And you look into today's timeline and everything is online, to the point where there's a lot of information out there, but a lot of people are confused because of you have false idols out there, false channels, and you can regurgitate speech. It's the same language over and over when it comes to religion, when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to these false channels, when it comes to mega churches, when it comes to whatever one wants to speak about in a false light situation, because they killed Jesus and they give him back to you in a way of their liking, and their liking has no culture, and that's part of the situation today, where people don't have culture to find the spiritual path back home into the frequencies of rebuilding Mother Earth. And that's part of what people don't quite understand, as in the journey, the spiritual journey, because you have all this sacred geometry, but no one has the alchemy, spiritual alchemy, the numerical codes, the understanding of their chakras, the understanding of their DNA, the understanding of their Merkaba light body ships, and their third eye, because people may get glimpses of stuff within their dream state and their awakened mind, but it's the reversing of sight and then going into your feelings of understanding frequencies. And the frequencies that have been coming through are, not to be taken lightly when it comes to reversing things. As they say, freeing the feminine and so forth. There's a lot of repeating of ancient history taking place. But within the sacred geometry, within the codes, it is the blueprints, and it is a lot of people forget about colors, and the whole thing of you have your frequencies, and you have sounds, and you have symbols, and within the vibration of the mercury, the salt, and the sulfur, of pulsating frequencies, electrified frequencies, the naga strands within the water, Divine Mother's frequencies of spiritual transmutation, and everything that has been realchemized in a way that nobody can understand, because they're not aligned with the underworld. And that's the part where this New Age spirituality, you look at today's situation outside of what's going on around the world, within Europe and UK and everything, of darkness. Okay, so you have the shift that took place in 2012, where there's this New Age spiritual movement, and it comes forth, and people don't really understand because they're new to spirituality. It's like learning about Buddha for the first time, Reiki for the first time, your chakras and enlightenment, and it's nothing new. It's just been hijacked. So that's the part of the people back in the 60s and 70s going to India, but it was hijacked. And so the understanding of what spirituality is, it comes into your blueprints, it comes into your DNA, and it comes into your chakras, and it comes into your lost symbols, your lost sun cross, medicine wheel, Star of David, and swastika. Because you look at Native Americans who used to have the swazi, and then you have the Hindus who have the swazi, and goes on their head, but no one today can understand. That's the part of power symbols. That's the part of alchemy. That's the part of rebuilding the rainbow. So the rainbow prophecy. And a lot of people, it's just in America. That's the other part of New Age spirituality where people, they can't look at the darkness. They can't look at what's going on outside. And they're attempting to get back into heaven on earth and trying to get back to Great Spirit, trying to, wherever people think they're going, or they think they're going galactic. They've been hoodwinked, as my friend says, into thinking that the 3i Atlas was a mothership and it had aliens on it. What has taken place and what is taking place today within this 3D realm, no one is able to understand it because it's been going on since since before you were born. It's been going on for thousands and millions of years. It's just that the human consciousness today can't comprehend the frequencies of a shift that goes on, that's been going on for billions of years, ever since the fallout of the tree. So when you're speaking on the fallout of the tree, where's the frequency to it? See, people want to go up, but you can't go up without going down. That's the looking outside of this realm, outside of your body, and looking into hell, looking into Babylon and seeing the truth, speaking on the truth. Because what is coming is what everyone has been talking about for before you were born. They've been in the Bible, whatever, end of days, revelations, but no one has the code. No one's able to understand the numerical codes within the symbolism of time and space, of reversing black magic. So the consciousness of all these souls, New Age lightworkers, who think that they're going up without going down first, is a huge mistake because of the situation that is taking place out there. The situation as a whole is what is taking place in ancient history. Because they, the fallen ones, have been locked out of heaven. Everything has been reversed. The wall has been built in between realms. And they are locked out. They are within the AI. Okay? And this whole thing, whatever you want to think of with smart cities, they have to go within their own creation. They're not allowed within God's creation. Do you understand the difference? Not just within the AI, but within the human body. So you're looking at yourself as being God's creation. What is out there? What is within the people? And what is within the AI? It's the symbols of understanding, of transmutation, of what is within. Because people want to talk on the micro and the macro. But where is your consciousness of understanding the as above, so below, within and without? There's a lot of people out there channeling beings, talking about aliens, talking about UFOs, talking about this, talking about God, talking about Jesus, talking about, I don't even know nowadays, because people are stuck in that loop-de-loop of there's a new story every day. But they never find out what the truth is of the story that just passed. All these headlines, all of this information, people refuse to, I'm not going to say everybody, but when you're going down rabbit holes, there's one path. There's one path of ascension. There's one path of enlightenment. And people are stuck outside of Buddha's temple. Because if you're born in the fall, you're born outside of Buddha's kingdom. You're born outside of God's house because we were all born in the sacrifice. Born outside of the tree. And everyone's trying to get back in, including the demons. see how this works? But it's confusing because people can talk, but are they really in the frequencies of understanding? So the New Age thing and all these people, it's the way that these channels talk, we will say. The ones who say they're communicating with the Pleiadian Council, the Sirian Council, the Lyrian Council, all these people, the way that they speak is not the way that we would speak on, like, it's not the way you speak about the darkness. It's not the way you speak about the underworld. It's not the way that you speak about what's going on in Babylon, in the hood. You want to be all light. We got to go through the fire, because you need fire to transform into gold. You need the elements within the transmutation. You need to remember your symbols. You need to remember your pentagram, because out there you see nothing but a reverse pentagram. Black magic has been reversed. Everything has been turned back upright. So that's the part of opening up your third eye and seeing the truth. Because what happens when the underworld comes to the surface? What are you going to do then? When you've been ignoring the situation this whole entire time? You have to observe. Look around in your community, look around in your city, look around and pay attention. And prepare yourself for what is to come. I wasn't raised in a church. I wasn't raised in no synagogue. I wasn't force-fed any way to think. And over these years, I've learned and I've studied everything that has to do with creation. How many people can say that they've done that? I've studied ancient history. I've studied the occult. I've studied the Masons. I've studied symbolism. I've studied sacred geometry. I've studied numerology, DNA codes, the Hermetic teachings. Because since 2012, all of these past timelines have come forth through their frequencies to be cleaned up. And so now we stand on the threshold between realms, between God's children and the non-God's children, and the ones who invaded heaven and tried to take down creation. But see, everything is under one creation. That's the thing. There's only one circle. There's only one temple. There's only one set of blueprints. There's only one sun. There's only one moon. There's only one planet. One Pleiadian alignment. One chakra system. There's a unity between the masculine and the feminine. Only one man, one woman, in this outside thing. And what is happening to the feminine today? That thing out there. So we are trekking through the darkness, trekking through the frequencies of the underworld, trekking through what was hidden behind the curtain, because people want the curtain pulled back, but they can't go look for it themselves. You want the curtain pulled back, go look at what's happening today. That's the part where people don't want to go look. They'll sit here and say, pull the curtain back. but all the information's already out there. So that's the part, mainly with Americans, they're waiting for this situation to come to them. The situation's already happening in America. It's happening all over. But, yeah, we're still doing the 9 to 5. We're still going to work. We're still doing this stuff. People are still brainwashed. You look into this Christianity thing, this Jewish thing, and this Muslim, Islamic thing, they've hijacked everything. 3 religions, Trinity, whatever it be. It's just taking it back to before religion, taking it back to before the beast was created, before the fall. So people want to talk on timeline jumping. You can say we're going up. You can say we're timeline jumping. You can say we're going through an energy shift. But that's all you got. People can talk on Pleiadians. They can talk a little bit on higher frequencies. They can mention Jesus. They can mention Divine Mother. They can mention Gaia. They can mention all this stuff and the universe. But at the end of the day, they don't know what 3i Atlas was. It still is. They don't know what's out there. Because humans today, you go back in ancient history, you look at India and the Hindu timeline and everything, and space wars, and the humans, like all these drawings, cave walls and stuff, and it's like you're looking up. If you're a human walking on this earth plane, and you're looking up in the clouds, looking up in the sky, and you're seeing strange crafts, and there's a war going on up there. That's the part today people don't understand the universe. They don't understand the spirit and the war of the gods. Because everything they don't understand of what's going on within themselves to reflect what is going on out there in today. Because they ignore everything. Unfortunately, going through the darkness. They don't want to know. They don't want to know what realm they're in. They don't want to, everything is a storyline, fairy tale of sacrifice, and a fairy tale of unicorns. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Where's the frequencies? Where's the frequency of the sacrifice of Jesus? People want to go see Jesus. They want to meet Jesus. They worship Jesus. But how do you get in contact with him? That's the thing. Where's the threshold of understanding? Because we've been controlled within the church, within religion, within spirituality, within the hijacking of Divine Mother's womb, sacred blueprints of creation, and the divine numerical codes of unity, and the DNA and the kundalinis of all symbols, as above, so below, within and without, of the Hermetic teachings. So, welcome.